Gear. I like gear. But let's forget about the gear. But I like gear. But gear does not make a bad video good. Gear has a place. Gear has model numbers, lumens, f-stops, anything that starts with an X, full frame, megapixels. The list goes on. And do all these things really make your videos better? Well, they can, but no more than using a top-of-the-line gear to shoot a stellar acting performance with your 10-year-old versus shooting Meryl Streep with the same gear. One is going to be better, and it's not because of the gear. So much a good video is about message, clarity, purpose, authority, and not what model number you use, whether it's Canon, Nikon, iPhone, Android. Face it, they all make great looking videos in today's world. If you give an Academy Award winning cinematographer an iPhone and ask them to shoot the same scene you just shot, I guarantee you will see something completely different than what you shot with the same phone. Here are the simple facts. Message, good lighting, subject in focus, steady, controlled shots, and good audio. Those are what matter most above everything else. Miss these and your message gets diluted. A big misstep on any of these and the audience switches channels and you lose them. People think that gear is the answer to everything. It's not. Often it's an excuse. It keeps you busy in more ways than one. I say this all the time. Bigger is bigger, more is more, and the learning curve is longer and is more difficult to try to get all the gear. So let me ask you this question. You like gear? Do you know what a grip is? A gaffer? An Apple box? How about a C-stand? A C47? Chances are you probably don't. But these are the people and the things that help you look better on a Hollywood set. Personally, I think everyone with a camera should own 2 C-stands. They're the frickin' bomb. But if you don't know the 100 things it can do, by the way, a C-stand's called a C-stand, C standing for century, meaning 100. But if you don't know the things it can do, and you don't know how it can help you, then there's no use in having one, much less 2. So you see my point. While that's a great piece of gear and it's used on Hollywood sets, it's probably not something that you're going to use in your everyday life. You know, model numbers change, and every year there's some new whiz-bang thing coming out. Should you buy it? Should you get it? Well, it depends on what you're doing. For example, you may or may not know this, but the gear needed for a fashion shoot is different than what's needed for a food shoot. And that's different than what's needed for just a talking head like what I'm doing here. So if you start with the basics and get what you need when you need it, then you grow with the gear and you're not always learning something new. And chances are you really don't want to carry around a whole bunch of stuff. If you do, then you become the production company. But instead of being the creator, you're now the facilitator. And instead of spending a quality time creating content, you're running out to buy AAA batteries and checking the ISO and the f-stop and the frame rate and all that other stuff. I mean, personally, I like the gear. I'm a new adopter of what comes out. I think stuff is cool. But I have yet to really justify all the gear that I own or that I have purchased over the years. When we moved to the Caribbean, I gave away thousands of dollars worth of gear and I sold thousands more. Do I miss it? Not really. I never really used it. When we brought down 6 suitcases and a cat to our Caribbean home, 2 of those suitcases were camera gear. And if you want me to tell you how much those camera gear cases cost in shipping versus how much I use them, I'll tell you, let's change the subject because it really wasn't worth all the stuff I brought down. I met a guy here in Playa, and he's been carrying around these lights and backdrops for months. He's been traveling around the country. He's a nomad. And he wanted me to work with him to set up his studio. So I said, great. So we get together, and we start talking. And the more we talked, the more I realized forcing himself into a studio, that wasn't his brand. That wasn't him. So now he shoots talking to camera videos with his iPhone as he walks through the cities around the world or wherever he's living, empowering people to be their best self. And you know what? His videos are great. And they wouldn't have been nearly as good if he'd forced himself to sit with lights, with a black backdrop, trying to get his message across. He felt he had the gear, so he had to use it. And by taking the gear away, he freed himself up to actually make better videos. So, gear can hold you back because you feel like you have to use it. That said, you can do some incredible things with it. And if you buy that new 4-axis gimbal or that drone to make your message better, you're fooling yourself. Will it add a dimension to your videos that can be amazing? Of course it can. But until you've got the fundamentals down, until you've got the message down, that new piece of tech is not going to make you sell anything more than what you're already selling. Now, good lighting, it matters. I believe good audio matters. So those two things right there, good lighting, here's what I say. Get a ring light, get a portable LED light, find a big window. I've got a little 12-inch softbox right here, just a little fill right here. You know, you go out in the sun, but make it diffuse. Don't stand the harsh sunlight. Shooting on a beach, everyone loves a beach. Beach is a hard place to shoot because you get the shadows and the harshness and the sound of the waves. People like shooting LA because of the cloud cover, when really it's smog, let's face it. And if you avoid these kind of bright sunlights and go for the diffuse light like they have in LA, you're easier to watch. If you keep the bright lights from behind your head and your face isn't lit, then there's a ratio there. Like I've got my face lit, but it's as bright as the background, or probably a little bit brighter, because I want to be brighter than that so you're looking at me and not the background. So those are a few things about lighting that can help you. Audio, same thing. You can have a $2,000 microphone on set, but they still unplug the refrigerator on a Hollywood set so that it doesn't make noise and get that hum. So oftentimes the mic on an iPhone is good enough. Right now I've got a shotgun mic here that's probably a $700 mic. I've got it going into a Zoom recorder. I've got XLR connectors. I go run that into the camera. I'll sync it all in post. That's the way I'm doing this video, but that's not the way you have to do your videos. Don't overcomplicate it with the gear. I have the gear so I can use it. I know how to use it. I don't think twice about it. You know, there are a lot of ways to get better quality than with the gear. For example, if you're shooting audio and there's a construction zone right next door, like we have. I'm shooting this on Sunday because they started building on Monday this past week. So during the week they're there, on the weekends they're not. So I'm shooting on Sunday because the audio will be better without the noise right next door. So pay attention to your surroundings and move away from bad audio, move away from bad lighting, and put yourself in the best light. That has nothing to do with gear. That has to do with paying attention to what you need to accomplish to get the results you want. So, I love gear. Gear is not necessary. Gear is a learning curve. Gear is often an excuse. Don't get caught up with excuses. Better message, better distribution, and get a couple of the fundamentals right. That's what really matters.